Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks to all your comments on YouTube and in Discord, today we're going to be talking about air roll left and right binds. If this video helps you out, or you just want to support the channel, then make sure to click the like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you can be the first in the comments on my new videos every Saturday. Now, let's get into the video. Have you ever watched a pro player flying for an aerial and thought, wow, all those spins are so cool. Are they just doing that for style, or is there a purpose to the movements? Well, the answer is both. It looks awesome, but more importantly, those spins are actually micro adjustments being made in real time from that player to adjust their flight onto the most efficient path for the play that they want to make. To do these spins, they're using air roll binds. Not to be confused with the regular air roll binding that uses a button and your joystick to roll your car. Air roll right and air roll left bindings allow you to air roll left or right without needing to touch your joystick. What's the benefit in not needing to use your joystick to air roll? Well, let's break that down so we understand it fully before learning how to practice it. Let's compare your car to an airplane. An airplane has 3 axes of movement: pitch, roll, and yaw. Pitch is your tilt up and down. Roll is a barrel roll left to right. And yaw is turning your nose left to right. In an airplane, your joystick only controls pitch and roll, and you usually have pedals that control your yaw. Having different input mechanisms for yaw and roll is what lets you control both yaw and roll together while still having access to controlling your pitch. Now, when you're flying a Rocket League car, unlike an airplane, you control all 3 of these movement axes with one input mechanism, your joystick, or WASD if you play keyboard. For the rest of this video, whenever I refer to a joystick, if you play on keyboard, just think of WASD as your joystick like this. Because your joystick controls yaw left or yaw right, and also roll left or roll right, you're normally limited to using only one or the other at a time. If you're holding your air roll key, you can only roll left or roll right. If you aren't, you can only yaw left or yaw right. This means your movement is always limited to only 2 dimensions at a time in the air: yaw plus pitch or roll plus pitch, but never yaw plus roll plus pitch at the same time. Until now. When you introduce an air roll left or air roll right binding, it allows you to roll left or roll right without touching your joystick. That means you can control your yaw left or yaw right at the same time as your roll left and roll right. So now you can combine both movements with pitch and be simultaneously controlling all 3 axes of movement during flight. It essentially opens a door to controlling your movement in a way you never could before. While holding this air roll binding, you can manipulate your joystick to control yourself through the air and adjust all 3 of your axes at the same time. This allows for adjustments at angles that you aren't able to obtain any other way, which gives you more fine-tuned control of your movement. It allows you to make small adjustments to your movement in rapid succession, which can give you control like you've never felt before. And if you play Rocket League at any level, you should understand how important it is to have more options to control your movement better than your opponents. I'm sure plenty of you have tried to use an air roll left or air roll right binding in the air while moving your joystick at the same time, and probably felt like you were moving aimlessly and uncontrollably. That's because this is an incredibly complex mechanic that can take a ton of practice to learn. I would even go as far as saying that this is the most difficult thing that you're going to learn in Rocket League. You're essentially reprogramming the way your muscle memory works with your car. Normally, when you're flying, your car remains still as long as you don't touch your joystick, so it's a little easier to know what direction to move your joystick to get your car to move the way that you want it to. The difference with an air roll binding is that when you're holding that air roll direction, your car is in constant motion, so you have to be constantly reading your car's movement ahead of time to know what direction to press your joystick depending on where your car currently is in the air roll. And that's why this mechanic is so difficult to learn. It requires you to be constantly aware of which way your car is facing, even though it's in constant motion, something that's only possible after many, many hours of practice. So let's talk about the best ways to learn how your joystick movements affect your car during an air roll so you can save some of those practice hours. I've been using air roll right for about 4 or 5 years now, and I started using it just for half flips. Then I quickly realized you can combine the air roll binding with your joystick to add a whole new dimension to your car's movement. Since then, I've mainly practiced with air roll right, so I'll be explaining everything from the air roll right perspective. However, for the air roll left, all you need to do is completely mirror the joystick inputs I use with air roll right, and your car will give you a mirrored movement to what I'm doing. The first thing to keep in mind is that while you're holding an air roll bind, your car is rotating in a circular motion. As long as you continue holding the bind, any joystick inputs you do will result in a circular motion from your car in that direction. That means if you press left, your car will turn left. But because you're in a circular air roll, the direction that is left of your car is constantly shifting in that circular motion, so your car will turn left circularly. And this applies to every direction. The best way to practice controlling this movement is to get a basic understanding of how each direction on your joystick affects your car during an air roll. Every time you jump, hold a direction on your joystick and see what it does to your car. We're doing this because no matter what position your car is in when pressing the joystick during an air roll, it will always result in the same circular motion in that direction relative to your car. You'll start to notice the pattern the more you try it. Get familiar with how each direction affects your movement in this very basic practice before moving on and applying it in the air. Now again, be patient with this because like I said, this mechanic took more practice than any other mechanic I've ever learned, so you shouldn't expect to get this right away. And remember that everyone learns at their own pace, so you could get it right away, or it could take you a lot longer than you expect. But if you're trying to get better at Rocket League, this mechanic is definitely worth learning. Once you've got that basic understanding of how each direction is affecting you during the air roll, we can start applying it to your aerial control. The absolute best way to practice this is by using the workshop maps if you're on PC, or flying in free play if you're on console. If you're only limited to free play, then I suggest you practice by holding the air roll during your entire aerial and using your joystick to make the necessary adjustments to keep you in the air. Do this for as long as possible and keep pushing yourself to stay in the air longer and longer while making these adjustments. If you have workshop maps available to you, then I highly recommend that you use any of the rings maps. I'm suggesting the rings maps because it requires you to keep your movement controlled through a small and limited barrier to keep flying. This will force you to make the correct adjustments by trial and error. It'll be extremely tedious and difficult to get down at first, but I promise once it clicks hard, and you'll be able to control yourself in the ways that you want through every single ring. I also suggest you play through aerial training packs and practice jumping from both the ground and the walls using your air roll binding. This will teach you how to apply it to your takeoffs. If you're watching this video the day that I uploaded, make sure to come check out my Twitch channel where I'll be streaming today at 4 p.m. EST. And if you missed it, don't worry, I stream every Saturday at 4 p.m. So drop a follow on my Twitch so that you can catch the next one. That's going to be it for this tutorial. Make sure that you drop a like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you're part of the Big Brain Gang. And most importantly, thanks for watching.